I recently reread the 1960 novel To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, and then I watched the 1962 film adaptation directed by Robert Mulligan. How are they alike? How are they different? Which one do I think is better? Stay tuned to find out. There will be spoilers, so here's your warning. So I'm sure a lot of you watching this have read To Kill a Mockingbird, either in middle school or high school. I read it for the first time in high school. It's, of course, a coming-of-age story about a young girl named Scout Finch growing up in Alabama in the 1930s, a time roiled with racial prejudice and injustice. You follow Scout as she and her brother Jem navigate the world as innocent children, seeing the world through their eyes, and learning as they learn about ugly truths and harsh realities. This book is considered to be an American classic, and rightfully so. I love this book. It is one of my favorites. I enjoyed it so much the first time I read it, and I loved it even more, I think, having just reread it for a second time. It's so layered in the different ways that it explores morality throughout the book, and it's also just really beautifully written. I love the way Harper Lee writes. Like I said, this is my second time reading this book, and it definitely hit me differently this time. I'm a father now, so there were certain aspects of this book that had me tearing up at times. This book is, primarily about childhood and the effects of racism in the South in the early 20th century, and also, of course, about the trial of a black man named Tom Robinson, who is wrongfully convicted for the rape of a white woman. But this book is also, to a large degree, about fatherhood. Atticus Finch is a middle-aged single father of two young children, and he's doing his best to raise them with honor. There's one point where Scout is telling her neighbor that her father, Atticus, can't really do anything admirable. He's a lot older than a lot of her friends' fathers, so he can't play with them quite like they can. He doesn't hunt or play poker or play sports, and he wears glasses and he just reads a lot. But there was one talent that he kept hidden from them, and that's that he is this incredible marksman with a rifle. And that is revealed when he has to shoot a rabid dog coming down their street. And once that skill is revealed to his children, their minds are blown, and they see their father in this whole new light and have this new respect and admiration for him when they really kind of looked down on him before. And for whatever reason, reading that as a father, just, got me right here. Atticus Finch may be the noblest character in all of American literature. Atticus is the lawyer who defends Tom Robinson in his trial, and a lot of the book is about the hatred that is just hurled at him and his family and his kids because of the fact that he is defending a black man. And he stands firm and never wavers throughout all of that, and teaches and instills this character trait in his children as well. And he, in his closing argument of the trial, he gives this truth and what is really the moral center of the entire book. The fact that we are all human beings, and, regardless of our skin color, we're all capable of good and we're all capable of evil, black or white. Okay, let's talk about the movie. The movie, like I said, came out in 1962, 2 years after the book was published. It takes a few liberties with Lee's story, which I'll get to in a minute, but for the most part, it is very faithful to the book. This movie is really good, mainly due to an excellent screenplay by Horton Foote, and also the incredible performances from the main actors. It stars Gregory Peck as Atticus Finch, who gives arguably the best performance of his career. He won the Oscar for Best Actor for this role. And, Peck is Atticus Finch through and through. It's hard to separate the film version of Atticus Finch from the book version because Peck is that good in the film. He so perfectly embodies the demeanor and attitudes of Finch from the book.
In our courts, all men are created equal.
The film, however, also contains two really strong performances from the main child actors. You got Mary Bedham as Scout and Philip Alford as Jem, and they are both really good. I mean, they could have ruined this film because they play such a major role in the film, but in my opinion, they enhance it because their performances are just spot on. The casting in this film is perfect. If I had to criticize the film at all, it would probably be that it seems to somewhat shy away from or water down the uglier forms of the racism that is prevalent throughout the novel. I mean, the N-word is said and used many, many times in the book, and only a handful of times, I would say, in the movie. Which is not to say that I wish I wanted to hear more of it, but the book does, I think, give probably a more accurate depiction of what went on. And the film, I would say, kind of maybe whitewashes it a little bit. Okay, so other differences between the book and the film. In the movie, there's a scene where Judge Taylor comes to Atticus's home and sits with him on his porch and tells him that he is assigning Atticus to the Tom Robinson case. And that's really only kind of alluded to as a prior occurrence in the novel. In the movie, there's a scene added in which Bob Ewell confronts Atticus at the courthouse at Tom Robinson's arraignment.
What kind of man are you?
There's also a scene added in the film where Bob Ewell confronts them once again. And I think this is done deliberately to solidify Ewell a little bit stronger and a little bit more obviously as the main protagonist and villain of the movie. In the book, when Jem and Scout and Dill sneak onto the Radley property at night, they are confronted by Mr. Radley on the porch with a shotgun, and he fires it and scares them away, and Jem gets his pants stuck in the fence. They meet up with the crowd of people gathering outside, and Jem has no pants on. But in the movie, when they're on the Radley property, there is what you are supposed to believe, I guess, is the silhouette of Boo Radley, not Mr. Radley, the father, and that's what scares them off. There's no shotgun fired until much later, and Jem gets his pants stuck in the fence, but then he goes back and gets them before he sees the adults, so the adults never see him without his pants on. And in the book, he has to explain that he lost his pants in a game of strip poker with his friends. It's funny, but that whole scene is done a little bit differently in the movie compared to the book. There's also a lot of memorable moments in the book that don't make it into the film, primarily probably just due to time constraints. But for example, there's a big house fire in the book at a neighbor's house in the middle of the night. That never makes it into the movie. Another really memorable moment is when Scout punches her cousin right in the nose because her cousin is saying really ugly things about Atticus and the fact that he's defending a black man and bringing shame upon the family. That's not in the film. Also, their neighbor, Mrs. Dubose, hurls really racist, ugly things at Jem and Scout because of Atticus's involvement with defending a black man. And Jem gets so mad that he destroys her flowers, and his punishment for doing that is he has to read to her until she eventually dies one day. Anyway, none of that is in the film, but those are two examples of some of the really ugly, racist things that happen in the book that are not in the film. Calpurnia is also a much bigger character in the novel than she is in the movie. And there's this whole part in the book where Jem and Scout accompany her one Sunday to her church, and that is not in the film. There is no Aunt Alexandra in the movie at all, and I didn't really miss her because honestly she didn't really add much to the book. In the book, Tom Robinson has a visibly deformed left arm that he got caught in a cotton gin when he was younger, and that is a very important part of the trial. And in the book, you can just see that it's much smaller than his right arm, but that's kind of hard to depict in a film. So the way that they depicted it is Atticus just throws a glass at him in the middle of the courtroom and asks him to catch it next time with his left hand, and he's just like, I can't. Okay, so which one is better, the book or the movie? The movie is a really faithful adaptation and just a fantastic film in general. It's elevated by a great screenplay and a magnum opus performance from Gregory Peck and two great performances by the child actors. I love this movie, but I absolutely adore this novel. I will probably read it again if not more than one more time. It's an American classic for a reason, and while I love, love, love the movie, I will have to say that the book is better. Okay, what are your thoughts? I want to hear from you. Have you read To Kill a Mockingbird? Have you seen the film? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos in the near future. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later.